Hi everybody, welcome to the 4 to 5. Eric, Sydney, Tanya, and Claire with you today.
Well, happy Thursday. Someone calls Thursday Friday Junior.
Or Friday
I think
Eve.
that's Lauren.
Yep,
Okay,
that is.
Like the
okay.
Frosty
I've heard some other
Junior?
folks calling it that as well too. Baby Friday.
Baby Friday, right?
Well, how's it treating you all?
Pretty nice.
It's too hot.
It
I'll
is
say
all
that.
too hot. But hey, Friday Eve, I mean, can't complain.
That's right.
Friday Eve.
And we're on the way to cooler air. I mean, that's for the weekend, of
I
course.
know.
Then we really can't complain. We'll
Right?
be happy to hear that forecast in just
Yep.
a minute for sure. All right. But we're going to start with this story right here out of Guilford County Schools. Police charged a Guilford County parent after they say she got on a school bus and told her daughter that she needed to fight with the other kids on the bus.
We now know the fight involved Reynolds Middle School students. WFMY News 2's Amber Lake talked to the mom involved. She is live outside the school with her side of the story. Amber.
Right, guys, I talked to Monica Marcus about what she says happened on the bus. Now, she didn't want to go on camera, but she did tell me that she was just acting as a mother concerned for her child. Now, this all started Tuesday. Greensboro police got a call of a disorder on a school bus full of Reynolds Middle School students. An officer interviewed the bus driver who said several girls were in an argument before arriving at the Cardinal Apartments, which is about 10 minutes from here. Once the bus stopped, a parent tried to get onto the bus. That parent, Monica Marcus, told me she walked onto the bus, met her daughter near the back, and told her daughter to fight another student on the bus. Marcus told me she got a call before the bus arrived from her daughter and heard a bunch of chaos in the background. She told me when the bus pulled up, she saw what looked like her daughter being jumped by a group of students, so she went on board. Marcus says she didn't put her hands on any child but her own. She says any mother would protect her child in a situation like this. 3 students were involved in the fight. GCS released a statement saying the bus driver followed protocol, calling their supervisor and then requesting assistance from a school resource officer. The fight was over by the time the SRO got there. Now, Marcus is being charged with trespassing, disorderly conduct, and contributing to the delinquency of a minor. This investigation is ongoing. Live in Greensboro, Amber Lake, WFMY News 2.
At this time yesterday, we were keeping an eye on what was Tropical Storm Lee, but as of now is Hurricane Lee, a strong Category 2 hurricane that is continuing to move west-northwest at around 15 miles per hour. Very intense as it is. You can look at that eye right here behind me. Very intense with those eye walls continuing to become more and more powerful heading into these next couple of hours, and especially in the next few days with the hurricane cone showing this system becoming a major hurricane by Friday, 4, maybe even Category 5 as it continues to approach northern portions of that ocean right over Puerto Rico. Category 4 continuing. Now, as for us, the good news is it looks like it is going to begin to take a turn northward. Most models are suggesting it is going to stay away from the eastern portion of our coast, but again, we'll continue to keep you updated on the tropics here in the next several days. As for us here locally, we're keeping an eye on a front that is stalling over the Carolinas, bringing in isolated showers and storms, some of which could even contain damaging winds and even some locally heavier rain. So right now on the radar, starting to see those showers and storms build in from the mountains. More details, of course, on what all you can expect heading into tonight and also into tomorrow as temperatures cool off into the weekend. That's coming up in just a couple minutes.
Guilford County Schools is providing a little clarity after we received multiple reports of no air conditioning in some schools. Just yesterday, the district says some students at Grimsley High School had to be moved to a different classroom after problems with the AC. Officials say when an HVAC unit breaks, the district brings in temporary equipment, including fans, portable air conditioning units, into the facilities where it is needed. Now, over in Davie County, AC issues force students back into remote learning. The district says that students and staff at Davie County High School had virtual classes today. Officials say teachers are in contact with students regarding assignments and schedules. Coaches are reaching out about athletic events and practices. There's no word yet on plans for tomorrow. In the meantime, Alamance Burlington schools still dealing with all the mold brought on by HVAC problems over the summer. According to the district's dashboard tracking the cleaning process, 15 schools in the district have cases of toxic mold. 11 schools have been cleaned and then cleared for students, and cleanings are underway at 27 schools, while 3 schools are currently being tested for mold. As of right now, the first day of school is still planned for Monday.
Let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup. Greensboro Guilford Crime Stoppers need your help finding 2 people. According to police, the 2 suspects vandalized a Buddhist center here in Greensboro, and they are also wanted for burglary. New footage from the center shows a man and a woman walking onto the property. The head monk says the woman asked people at the altar for prayers while the man allegedly broke into the temple. The man was caught on camera running away once after the monks caught him inside. No arrests have been made yet.
In Burlington, 3 residents are searching for a new place to stay after a grease fire. It happened on Sydney Avenue around 8:45 last night. Investigators believe that fire was indeed caused by just a pot of cooking oil that was left on the stove. Nobody was injured, but officials estimate that repairs to the home could cost about $50,000.
We now know the identity of the woman that was found in Jordan Lake. The Chatham County Sheriff's Office says fingerprint analysis identified the woman as Hadel Hickmack of Apex. She was found last week by a boater. Investigators say they are working to determine the woman's cause of death.
Okay, I am talking about kids, how to check in with your kids and why it's important.
Well, school can be stressful for all kids regardless of their age because they're juggling schoolwork, extracurricular activities, studying, friendships, and home responsibilities. And as much as parents would like to think that their kids will turn to them when they are stressed or struggling, we know that that isn't always the case. This is what Blanca Cobb, who has a master's degree in psychology, and I are talking about this afternoon, the importance of checking in with your kids even if you think that they are doing fine. Blanca, what is something that good intentioned parents do that might turn their kids away from them?
A majority of parents want their children to be more successful and to have an easier life than they did. And so the encouragement that they give their children sometimes feels like pressure to their kids. And when the kids feel so much pressure, then they tend to close down. Some parents will talk about their own struggles and what it was like for them and the trials and tribulations that they had to get through in order to get where they are in life. And some children look at that, regardless of their age, regardless of the child's age, and they think, well, that's not what's going on in my life, and they can't relate to it. So they hear those personal stories, but they just can't relate to it.
And can you talk about expectations that can cause kids more stress?
It's great to have expectations for your children. You want them to be able to attain whatever those goals are that you have for them. It's even good to have your kid jump out of their own comfort zone, if you will, to stretch themselves just a little bit. The problem with expectations is if they're unattainable or they come across to your child as that it's perfection. We know that no one can be perfect, and that can lead to failure. And also consider this, even though you might have good intentions because you're encouraging your children, it depends on how they're hearing those expectations. Children have different levels of resilience, which means that some children can bounce back quicker than others.
And what's the best way parents can check in with their kids?
If you listen carefully to your child, they'll drop hints at random times about what's really going on for them. And if you can pick up on those hints of what's bothering them or what's stressing them out, and you can provide that support and validate what they're going through at that time, it's going to go a long way because it makes you relatable. It makes them feel like you understand them and you get them. When you check in, it's more than just saying, how's it going? And you get that blanket fine. It's really spending time with them, getting your eyes on them, share a meal, go for a walk, watch a show, whatever it is, even if you have college students. You want to touch base, FaceTime. You want to see how they're doing. And a lot of times it's more about your presence than what you actually talk about, because sometimes it's just reassuring to have mom or dad there because they can hear words as a lecture. There also are times when you do have to talk to your kids, but sometimes just find comfort in that your presence can be very comforting to your children.
Absolutely. Let's talk about warning signs, because maybe everything isn't okay with your kid.
A mental state that I would caution all parents to take seriously is when your child starts talking about hopelessness, or you get the sense that they feel hopeless. Because when someone feels hopeless, it's like a dead end. There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to move forward. It's like there's nothing left. And that can be a very scary place. If you get that sense, or if you hear your child talking about it, this is a time for you just to ask questions to find out what they mean. And if you get the sense that this is serious, that they really feel like their life is just not going to get better, that's when you really need to call in a mental health professional to help you out.
Blanca, thank you so much. You can continue the conversation with Blanca on her Facebook page, Blanca Cobb, body language expert. We'll be right back.
You know, the Reynolds House Museum has countless exhibits over the years covering as many subjects as you could probably imagine, but this latest one is more personal than any other exhibit in their history. It's called Smith and Libby, and it's the tragic story of the tragic death of R.J. Reynolds' son Smith and how his death by a gunshot in 1932 was never really resolved. Was it his wife, his best friend, or suicide? We spoke with Reynolds House Deputy Director Phil Archer to get the story. All right, Phil, so I mean, this is fascinating, and I'm also shocked that I never knew this, but there's a reason why. But first, tell us the backstory. What happened in this room in 1932?
Well, this is where it all culminated with the shooting of Smith Reynolds in this sleeping porch. And the porch has been closed until today for several decades, as has the story in lots of ways. It's sort of been shielded. There was a party the night of July 5th for Smith's friend, who was also a pilot, and Smith, his wife Libby Holman, who was a Broadway star, and his best friend Ab Walker were all awake and in proximity to this room when he was shot.
Now, he was shot in this room, right? So if we look, where was the bed here?
The bed was right in the center of that wall, and we know that he was standing about where I am and fell across the bed.
Okay.
Because the pool of blood was on that side of the bed.
Yep.
And the bullet flew through the window 7 feet above the floor, which becomes an important part of the forensic questions, because he was shot. This is a little gruesome, but above his right temple, the bullet entered and left behind his left ear, behind and below his left ear. Yet it left the room 7 feet above the floor. So his wife, Libby Holman, claimed that he was standing above her, but she was in the bed. But that angle is impossible for a man standing. So
now, she was indicted, right, with his best friend for murder.
So the nation got hooked on this story, and people still get hooked on it because of the notion of a household name, and his wife and best friend are indicted for his murder. And it never went to trial for reasons that the family, the publicity was very painful. There's rife speculation about their lives together, and she was pregnant with his son.
Oh my gosh.
So the family, though they did not believe it was suicide, were willing to let the case be dropped, and the state incredibly agreed to drop it. So this is first-degree murder, would have carried the death penalty.
Gosh.
And we never learned the truth.
We'll never know, really.
I think the world will never conclusively know. We have all this evidence, and people have looked at it, over the years. What this exhibition does is the evidence is still there, but we're also bringing pieces of their lives, so it's their lives writ large.
It's fascinating, fascinating. Thanks for bringing this out. I mean, I can't believe, so we're probably one of the first people to get back in this room in decades.
3 of us are the first.
That's amazing. All right, thank you, Phil. Appreciate it. All right, so that's an echoey room. It's kind of tough to hear. Basically, the bottom line is Smith Reynolds was R.J. Reynolds' son. He was the heir to the millions and millions of dollars. Obviously, the wealthiest family at that time, probably in North Carolina. Winston-Salem was actually the largest city in the state back in those days.
At that time,
yeah. So he was shot and killed. Some people thought that his wife, who was 7 months pregnant at the time, and his best friend since childhood, both said that it was suicide. Now, they had said there was some talk of doctor's appointments and things that might have been a thing, but the forensics of how the bullet exited the room and stuff, they said does not add up, especially with today's science. And so they think he might have been murdered by either his wife at the time and his best friend, or one or the other. And they had different stories about what happened. They both said he threatened suicide and then did it. The family eventually asked the DA, it's over. We want to drop it. But they had already been indicted. But still,
Interesting.
Yeah, the state government said okay. And so it was never brought to trial, and we don't know to this day what really happened.
Thanks for bringing that story.
And you can walk through that exhibit right
yes.
now at Reynolds.
Yeah, not
at
that
Reynolds.
room, but you can do
Right.
the exhibit, and I'm going to do a more in-depth piece on this in the coming months, so stick around.
Looking
really
forward
cool.
to that.
Yeah, now
Take
a
a look at the
forecast.
weather.
Yeah, well, we've been keeping an eye on the tropics. We're also keeping an eye on the heat. We've been feeling it the past several days. Yesterday hitting 95, lingering in the upper 80s and lower 90s this afternoon, so not quite as hot. We're watching a low pressure system currently make its way to the area. This cold front actually in front of it, some cooling showers and storms possible, but not moving very quickly. And as a result of that, we're not going to begin to cool off until this weekend. Tomorrow, we're back in the upper 80s again. Isolated showers and storms possible. as this front finally closes in on the area heading into this upcoming weekend, as temperatures struggle to make it back into the low and middle 80s. Most unsettled day is looking to be this upcoming Saturday. A closer look at what you can expect in the futurecast. Shower and storm odds beginning to spike these next couple of hours, continuing into tonight as temperatures fall back into the more comfortable lower 70s. Tomorrow, still those odds for scattered showers and storms are going to stick around primarily as we head into the afternoon and evening, although a comfortable start to the day in the 60s. We'll be back in the 80s into the afternoon, and much as expected with these isolated showers and storms, marginal risk by the Storm Prediction Center, so damaging wind gusts and locally heavy storms are possible as this front continues to move closer and closer to our neck of the woods. A look at the triad right here with the Doppler radar live sweep. Severe thunderstorm warning actually well over here in the mountains, but we're going to be keeping an eye on this front the next several days. We'll look at your 7-day forecast. As a result from this front, we're going to be seeing cooler temperatures back in the 80s for this weekend and continuing into next week.
Well, heat records, they are breaking in cities all across the country, from Tyler, Texas to New York City, all part of a now deadly heat wave that is capping off what is officially the hottest summer ever recorded.
It was back to school for students in New York City without the feel of fall in the air. Temperatures are about 20 degrees higher than usual.
It's going to feel like 100 degrees today.
This late summer heat wave has challenged schools without adequate cooling systems. This week, districts in at least 9 states had to close or dismiss students early. At the U.S. Open in New York, competition is underway with temperatures that feel like 100 degrees. Wednesday, tennis player Daniil Medvedev outlasted his opponent, but warned about the dangerous heat.
One player gonna die and they're gonna see.
In Texas, officials are asking residents to use electricity sparingly after the state's power grid was pushed to its limits. Phoenix is on track to set another heat record Saturday. 54 consecutive days of highs at or above 110 degrees. The United Nations Weather Agency says last month was the hottest August ever on record, capping off the hottest summer ever, and experts predict next summer could be even worse.
I think we're going to continue to see significant impacts on people and the planet unless countries act. And that means reducing greenhouse gas emissions, transitioning towards more green infrastructure, green energies, green jobs.
Experts say taking those steps now could help avoid the worst impacts of climate chaos.
Well, there is a new pizza combination dividing households, and trust me, it's a big deal. Did you see what I did? You guys saw what I did there?
Let me see what you did there.
Earlier this week, DiGiorno unveiled its new pineapple pickle pizza. It's a cheese pizza with pickles on one side and then pineapples on the other side. And so I have a question. Is this something you all would be willing to even give a try?
I'll try anything.
I
but
mean, you should try
I'm not
it,
saying
right?
I love it.
But I'm not going
pickle
to
side-
order that.
The pickle side I would
don't
love.
think so.
Who's
For
in
me.
who's in for pickles?
Me.
Who's in for pineapple?
Is it just me?
All right. So Sid, what's your
saying there's
favorite?
any
like,
pizza.
It's a no for me.
But what's
I
your
would-
favorite pizza?
I would do pepperoni pizza,
Plain old.
standard, you know, keep it plain, or supreme. I love supreme
you
pizza.
do like
I don't
supreme.
ever take any
Is
of
that
the vegetables.
everything?
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of an everything.
Gotcha.
Not
Have you had a
pineapple.
supreme pizza before?
I don't think so.
We gotta get you a
Oh, we're
supreme
gonna
pizza.
work
I
on
don't think
that.
so. Isn't that
Oh, we're
crazy?
eating pizza,
Don't
friends.
you dare put pineapple.
No.
Oh, I would never do you like that.
Not with the other
There's nothing
stuff
wrong with
either.
that.
Or olives. I can't do olives either.
Oh,
Some
I
people
love
can't do olives. That does sometimes come on supreme pizza, so you can just take
can
that
pick that
part
off.
Yeah.
Do you
You're gonna have
like
to pick it
olives?
off for me.
Oh.
I do.
Oh, you do?
Yep.
Okay, good.
I do.
Because she doesn't like pickles. She's like, it's so bad.
But I will do fried pickles.
That's right.
Dipped in ranch.
Dipped in ranch.
Dipped in
That's right.
ranch,
Mustard.
friends.
Blue cheese.
Oh, blue cheese. I'm sold. All right, I got to eat now. We'll be right back.
Bradley, it's me and you. Mic check, Brad. Can you hear me? It's Jalen. You might not.
Hope you enjoyed our halftime show. That was it. Now we're back for the second half of the 4 to 5.
That's right.
Lots
that's
to
right.
talk about
It's all about
today.
how you finish, you know?
Exactly right.
How y'all feeling today?
It's a good Thursday. It's a
It
good
is.
Thursday, especially when we are thinking that there might be a little bit of a cool down coming.
Yeah, a little 80-degree weather. coming
Long
up.
term, yes, in the extended forecast, it looks really nice. Got to get there, though.
That's right. Well, we'll talk more about weather, but let's start here. The votes are in, and you've made your choice. Our Friday Football Fever game of the week for week 4 will feature East Davidson versus Ledford High School.
Yeah, over 4,000 votes cast for this cross-county matchup. None of the other game selections surpassed 200 votes.
Wow.
So you know this is like the game of the week. WFNY News 2's Jalen Gilkey caught up with the head coaches for both teams.
Yeah, guys, East Davidson versus Ledford is one of the oldest football rivalries in the county. And although it's been one-sided for the last 2 decades, East Davidson's first-year head coach, Brock Edwards, thinks this group is the perfect team to snap the 15-game cross-county losing streak.
But one of the things that we have been preaching this year is overcoming adversity, like not allowing obstacles to stand in your way, that when the scoreboard's not in your favor, you got to keep playing. 2 weeks ago, we were down 35-14 against Wheatmore in the fourth quarter. We came back to win that game 42-41. Last week, we had Trinity out here, and I felt like we are starting to play complete games, and I feel like our team is starting to understand kind of what we're trying to do and the way we want to play, and they're buying in.
Now, just down the road at Ledford, third-year head coach Chris Doby has been stressing to his guys all week the importance of not letting the uneven recent history of this game dictate how they perform tomorrow evening.
We're pleased with a 3-0 start. I've told some parents and supporters and the kids themselves and our coaching staff it's a whole lot better to be 3-0 than 2-1 or 1-2 or 0-3. We're literally crosstown rivals. And we're on the north side, they're over on the east side, and the communities know each other. The people grew up together, have worked together in the past, and I think it'll be a great turnout for the game tomorrow night, and we're looking forward to it.
Ledford is 3-0 to start the year, but East Davidson has had some early success as well. They enter tomorrow night's matchup with a record of 2-1 and are looking for that big-time win across a long-time rival.
All right, we like to hear it. 4,000 votes, that's crazy. All right, since we're on the topic of football, the NFL officially returning tonight, the game featuring the Kansas City Chiefs, of course, the reigning Super Bowl champs, and then the up-and-coming Detroit Lions.
The Chiefs will be led by star quarterback Patrick Mahomes, while former 2016 #1 overall pick Jared Goff will be taking snaps for the Lions. The last time these two quarterbacks faced off against each other, their teams put up a combined 105 points, with Mahomes taking the victory 54-51. Tonight's game kicks off at 8:20.
All right, this morning, NFL reporter Tracy Wolfson talked about her Super Bowl predictions.
You can't, of course, rule out the Bengals getting back there, the Bills, who continuously try and get there as well. So those are some of the teams that I'm going to throw out there. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Eagles-Chiefs in a rematch in Vegas.
All right, let's talk about our picks. First, let's just start with picks for tonight.
Tonight, I want to go with the Lions.
Go!
I want to go with the Lions.
I'm saying
I
Lions.
got the Chiefs.
Yep, you got to choose, okay?
I'd go with Lions also.
Okay.
I think they're on a roll.
No idea. No, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. All right. And then do we have any Super Bowl predictions? I mean, I know it's early, but lots of people are just throwing things out there.
My Baltimore Ravens, they're going to win the Super Bowl this year.
Okay.
That's a personal pick? Or
personal.
Personal
no business. It's all personal.
Not by the record or the talent, just, personal.
I can see the Chiefs.
Yeah. Safe bet every time, right?
That is a safe bet.
But that hasn't happened, right? A repeat like that since, 2005 or something like that? Where they're back-to-back Super Bowls kind of thing?
They've made it back-to-back appearances, but they haven't won back-to-back.
Haven't won back-to-back, right? And it's in Vegas, baby. And
that's right.
It's on CBS.
I know.
So, folks, we're going to Vegas.
That's why we want the Panthers to be
Let me say, I might be going to Vegas. I don't know about y'all.
Definitely for the Panthers, that's for sure. That's for sure.
hiding Jaden's suitcase.
Fine.
All right, let's check in with Claire in the forecast.
Yep, we're still tracking what is now Hurricane Lee. Yesterday at this point in time, it was a tropical storm, now very, very powerful with sustained winds of around 105 miles per hour, continuing to move west-northwest at around 15 miles per hour. It is projected to become a major hurricane here in the next several days, strengthening to Category 4, possibly even Category 5 strength before weakening just a little bit as we continue to push west-northwest north of Hispaniola. Again, as for us here in the Caribbean, Carolinas. Not expecting any direct impacts as of right now. Most models are suggesting it is going to take a turn north, and thanks to a digging trough currently situated in the United States, that's going to help push this system to the east toward Bermuda as it continues to push northward. Again, rip currents, though, are expected later into next week for those of you heading out along the coast. Now, as for us right here, right now, locally, pop-up showers and storms not out of the question these next couple of hours, with damaging wind gusts, even some locally heavier storms possible as this front slowly makes its way into the Carolinas. A look at the composite radar here and satellite. Not much going on in the triad as of now, but you could see just behind me some of these pop-up showers and storms. Some of them have been even severe the past several hours, starting to close in on our area for the next several hours. So keep an eye on the radar if you do have any plans. As for the weekend, that low pressure system, in according with that surface low, is going to be pushing through the area, allowing those temperatures to fall back into the lower 80s for this upcoming weekend and stay pretty comfortable heading into next week.
Let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup. COVID-19 cases, they are increasing across our state. Dr. Christopher Uhl with Atrium Health Wake Forest Baptist says he's seeing higher COVID levels in the wastewater. He says a strain of the Omicron variant is getting people sick here in the triad. Dr. Uhl is encouraging people to get the new fall vaccine once it does become available. He says it could help lower your chance of COVID, sending you to the hospital.
Natty Greens unveiled their new expansion plans today. The Greensboro Brewery showed off renderings of a new pavilion. The expansion includes a brand new building near the current location. They say we'll have outside seating, bar areas, and space for interior brew house. The owner says this expansion will bring production back in-house and better serve the customers.
Well, High Point Central's band director is working to turn his dreams into a reality. Jaleel Wright says he's always wanted to work for his alma mater and change the band program. Wright graduated from High Point Central in 2014, was also, of course, a part of the band. He says being band director allows him to bring excitement back to the program and give students the experience that they had during high school.
Circle K is helping out drivers from now until 7. The gas station is cutting its prices at the pump by 30 cents for Circle K Day. It comes as gas prices are increasing nationwide. Right now, AAA says the national average is at $3.81, while it's a cent cheaper than last week. It's up roughly 3 cents compared to a year ago.
All right, we got a big twist in a story about a cat lost in Kansas, found 10 years later in Fuquay-Varina. This is a crazy story. A woman in Kansas says the cat is hers, but now a woman in Fuquay-Varina is claiming that she is the original owner and that the cat is actually named Maui. All right, let's see about this.
Police cars spent the morning outside 5 Points Animal Hospital in Fuquay-Varina, all due to a conflict over this cat.
We never intended to have any of this, come about. It's like we just want to get the cat back to its rightful owner.
The story went viral. A cat lost 10 years ago in Wichita, Kansas, found a decade later 1,200 miles away here in North Carolina. Scott Wilson, the practice manager at 5 Points, says a client brought the cat in because he was staying on his porch. They scanned his microchip and learned it's registered to Carol Holmes in Wichita. She said the cat is named Bob.
She'd been looking for him for years, and never in a million years did she think she would ever find him.
As the vet's office made plans to get the cat back to Carol in Kansas, Alex Strait, who lives in Fuquay-Varina, says she recognized the cat, but not as Bob.
Our family pet is being withheld from its rightful owner.
She says she took the cat in when she lived in Wichita in 2014 and named him Maui. She provided vet records, but Wilson says it's difficult to prove her cat is actually this cat.
Is there any way to prove ownership of a cat other than a microchip?
No, not unless you have the documented records from the veterinarian that shows you have been taking care of this cat with this microchip for X number of years.
Strait says she chose not to microchip the cat when she got him and insists she didn't realize he had a chip registered to someone else.
This is the only family he remembers.
Strait says she'll do anything she can to make sure the cat doesn't end up in Kansas. She asked everyone she knows to call 5 Points Animal Hospital.
It has caused a lot of drama for us.
Yeah, I bet it did cause a lot of
if you don't have that documentation, plus I find it hard to believe that cat was never scanned at the vet.
Ever. In any vet that she took that cat to in Kansas or in whatever. Especially since she got it in Kansas where the other cat had been left out.
So did I miss the final verdict? Are they?
I don't think they have
Okay.
the final
Yeah, I
verdict.
don't think so
But I
either.
just think, what a dual life. You're either Bob or you're Maui. One is very straight-laced and the other one's like party time.
Yeah.
So which one are you?
Bob Maui.
Well-
Maui Bob. That sounds like Panama Jack. Maui Bob. I like that.
Well, the cat's adorable. I love the
Yep.
cute little white little paws, but guess we'll find out the results some way or another.
Chip your pet, have your pets,
Yes.
have your pets checked, all of the above.
Yes.
We'll be back.
Stuff in your fridge. Oh yeah, it expires. Stuff in your medicine cabinet, that expires too. My question is, do you even pay attention to those expired labels, and does it bother you to use something that's expired?
I definitely pay attention. That's exactly where my eyes go immediately.
So I do.
Immediately.
I do with the fridge. Anything in the fridge. I hardly ever look at medicine labels.
I hardly ever look in the freezer.
Ooh, for those
Oh,
expiration
that's
dates.
true.
And things
Yeah, I never do
definitely
that.
expire there too. For me, it comes to food. If it's expired, I don't eat it. When it comes to like headache or cold meds, I don't know. If it's a couple months expired, okay, pop it in, it's fine.
I've used those 8 months to 2 months past the date, like aspirin or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely, go over lessen over time. But let me ask you this. When your car registration is about to expire, do you let it go to the last minute, or you do it as soon as you get that notice? Oh, okay.
Be quiet. I'm gonna let someone talk first.
So I don't do it right then, but I 90% of the time I'll do it before it expires.
Okay.
I've missed a few here and there.
I've missed it. Yeah, same. But I've maybe gone past, maybe like a day late or 2 or 3. It's not anything over dramatic.
Right,
It might
right.
be a day late, and there might be a really good reason as to why I can't do it before that time.
I'll say this real quick. My kid, his registration expired, but he didn't even notice, didn't think about it. I got something in the mail, but I thought it was for my car, which I'd already paid. He went 6 months and never got pulled. I was like,
wow.
that's a miracle that
It
that
is a
happened.
miracle.
But we
Yeah,
paid
it
it.
is.
Got caught up.
Wow.
Now, there are lots of things that we use that have expiration dates, right? And we're used to checking those things for them, like food or meds or
Sure.
whatever. But then there are those things that expire, and we're kind of like, what? That thing expires? Let's take a look.
Sensors can degrade over time, so look at the manufacture date or the expiration date so you know when to replace it.
Number 1 on the list, smoke alarms. They help protect you and your family, but for only 10 years. The same goes for your fire extinguisher, which lasts about 12 years.
That's because over the years they can lose pressure. They can also have broken or missing parts, and they can also have corrosion.
And you may be tempted to reuse a car seat or buy one used, but car seats expire between 6 to 10 years because the materials degrade over time. And just like car seats, the components that make up bike helmets can degrade over time. Consumer Reports experts recommend you replace your bike helmet every 5 years. And finally, if you like to stock up on sunscreen when it's on sale, you've got about 3 years to use it.
After 3 years, sunscreen starts to lose its sun protection powers.
And you don't want that to happen, right? You don't want it to lose your sunscreen. Now, the good news is sunscreen, whether it's open or shut, you've never opened it, it doesn't expire any faster if it's opened or unopened, which is kind of nice, right?
That is nice.
That story just tells me that I got to throw away 50% of everything in my house. I mean, I'm using everything too long.
And in regards to the smoke alarms as well, too, just a resource out there. Greensboro Fire Departments and several fire departments within our area offer great resources if you have questions, because a lot of folks don't know about, how long they can last. Some people just don't know that.
I was more surprised by the bike helmet.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because, I mean, for kids, they're growing up and you're changing bike helmets all the time because they get bigger or whatever. But for adults, we have the same size head all the time, right? And we're just like, we've had the bike helmet for forever.
Yeah.
But after a while, it does break down and does not protect you as well. Hey, I have one more note on the expired items that we talked about, the fire extinguisher. You can't trash it. I got to tell you this, after it expires, you can't throw it in the trash, but you can, like Sydney said, call your local fire department or recycling center or household hazardous waste. Let me get that out for disposal information.
A pair of national stories we are following. President Biden is heading to India for this weekend's G20 summit. It's the meeting for the world's 19 biggest economies in the European Union. Leaders are expected to discuss a range of issues, including the World Bank, Russia's war on Ukraine, and combating climate change. This comes a day after the Biden administration said it canceled several remaining oil and gas drilling leases in Alaska's Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, out of concern over the environmental impacts. Alaska's Republican governor has threatened to sue. Also, President Biden's son, Hunter, could be faced with a federal indictment later this month. The news comes after a tentative plea deal between the government and Hunter Biden's attorneys over taxes and an agreement on a firearms charge that fell apart this summer. Prosecutors did not name exactly what charges they will seek.
We've been tracking a cold front slowly approaching the Carolinas, and ahead of that front, we're looking at pop-up showers and storms possible for our area heading into tonight. Look at the satellite and radar. Some of those pop-ups mainly staying well to our west as of right now. But again, a couple of those showers and storms could make their way into our area in the next several hours. Look at the futurecast clouds and radar with some of those pop-ups making their way through about around 7, 8, even 9 o'clock. So make sure to keep an eye on the radar heading into your tonight's plans. 7-day forecast, lower 80s, feeling a little bit more comfortable than the 90s we've been seeing these past couple of days. Less hot and more typical temperatures with isolated showers and storms continuing as we head into early next week.
Claire, thank you. She's Big Trouble in a Little Sister. That's the slogan for Polite Society, streaming right now on Peacock.
It's the topic of WFMY News 2's Manning Frank's movie review, but is it news to approve?
Amidst all the big blockbusters, the lifeblood of cinema flows through the smaller films, those independent features you may have missed at your local theater. One film in particular made its splashy debut at Sundance Film Festival this past January, and after a brief stint in theaters, it is now here streaming on Peacock for your viewing pleasure. The film is called Polite Society, and while nothing extraordinary, is still a odd, funny, and darn good film.
But lately, she's been seeing this guy, who I think is a bit of a smarmy. You know, it's a trap. Oh my God, Rhea, chill out. Now, I'm not being dramatic, but these people are evil.
In Polite Society, a martial artist in training, Rhea Khan, and her older sister, Leena Khan, are young British Pakistani women who both have big dreams. Rhea to be a stunt woman, and Leena to be an artist. Yet when Leena falls for a lavish geneticist named Salam and asks for her hand in marriage, Rhea must enlist the help of her friends and attempt to save her sister from a life of societal expectations. Polite Society never apologizes for being slightly unhinged in its mixture of Lollywood aesthetics and dry British wit that makes a film that punches itself above the competition. The film has enough vibrant personality thanks to its frantic yet comedic editing and committedly wry cast that it carves out its own unique personality. Even when the supporting characters serve as caricatures, it's the central sister relationship that anchors the story. While that relationship and the actresses themselves really try to sell you on that sisterly bond, the writing never really gives you that emotional core to make the audience care. Any semblance of emotion is undercut by an over-reliance on comedy without any true balance to make the emotional payoffs at the end worth it. Still, its message proves to be one that playfully dissects familial dynamics, and while it's from a British-Pakistani perspective, it still proves to be a universal message of family at its core. Genre bending is not always successful, and not every film needs to travel in both lanes. Yet when a film like Polite Society does, it should be more than mildly successful. This film does thrive in the comedy sphere, and that may be enough for a good stream. I'm giving Polite Society a for you to decide. You can rent it or stream it, only on Peacock.
Hello, 123-456, 123-456-789.
Look at all these buttons out here. Hi there, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Hampshire.
We don't use the word larcenies. Larcenies. That's a funny little word. Just a little larceny.
Yes. Mic check 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. 1 2 3 4 5.
Yeah, I know. I don't like my life right now. I didn't have time to change.
But tells me any mother would have done the same thing she did in a situation like this. She says her daughter was being bullied and she was concerned. Greensboro police learned of a fight on a school campus. School bus full of Kernodle.
I'm hitting a milestone next week in my time here at News 2, my 10-year anniversary. Had you told me when I started 10 years ago that I'd be here this long, I wouldn't have believed you. When I accepted the job, I signed a 3-year contract. Well, clearly that contract ended a long time ago, and I went on to sign 3 more contracts after that. In this business, people tend to move around often. You've seen it with other News 2 personalities. It's actually common across the country. For me, this has been my 3rd TV job, and I had aspirations to continue the climb to bigger cities. Instead, I climbed the News 2 ladder, from reporter to weekend anchor to evening anchor. I'd always wanted to be one of the faces of a TV news operation, and sometimes it's still crazy to think that I've made it here. We've both seen a lot of people come and go over the years. I know how jarring that can be, especially if you like someone you've watched for years. I don't know how long I will be here, but just know it's this station, it's this part of the state, and it's you that have made me want to keep extending my stay. Thank you for that, and cheers to many more years. That's just my 2 cents. And your 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts right now. A fight on a middle school bus has a triad mother facing charges tonight. She told us she got on the bus and encouraged her daughter to fight.
Greensboro police say it happened Tuesday after the bus left Kernodle Middle School. WFMY News 2's Amber Lake spoke with the mom today, who says she was just concerned for her child.